Hey, it's Nate here again, and welcome to video 9 of the Blues Guitar Quick Start series. So far for your lead guitar, your lead blues guitar, we've been talking about the blues scale, where the root notes are, how to start choosing your notes in the blues scale to play over the chords in the 12-bar blues progression. Now, in this lesson, we're going to focus a bit more on feeling and style. We're going to talk about phrasing, bending, vibrato, and sliding. These elements can really add a new level of self-expression and emotion to your guitar playing. So what we're going to do is talk about each one in turn, and I'm going to show you how you can apply them to your blues solos to make them better. The first thing I want to talk to you about is phrasing. And when I talk about phrasing, I almost always think about two things. I think about blues singers, and I think about call and answer themes. When you're playing a blues solo, you don't want to sound like you're just playing through a scale shape. That's the last thing you want. So one way to think about making your stuff not sound like that is to think about blues singers. If you haven't listened to much blues music, I would recommend just going and listen to some singers, especially for their phrasing. They state something, they have something to say, then they take a break or something, then they have another line that they say. That's kind of the way you want to, in general, the way you want to think about your blues solos, right? And something that goes kind of hand in hand with that as far as the blues phrasing of blues singers, right, is repeated themes. If I start a blues solo and state a theme, I'll take a break for a couple of beats or whatever and then restate the theme. That does a couple of things. That breaks my phrasing up and makes it more natural, and it gives my solo some cohesiveness. So here's an example. If I play this lick, I can play it, wait a few seconds, and then state it again, maybe end it a little differently. So think about those two things next time you pull up a jam track to practice your blues leads. Break up your phrasing a little bit and make it sound more like a singer, right? And then have a stated theme that you call and then answer to. Now let's talk about bending a little bit as far as a self-expressive tool in the blues. Bending can be a huge part of your sound, and it's kind of a sound that we've come to expect in the blues, right? You just expect to hear that whining sound. And bending in the blues can be half-step bends, whole-step bends, or even further. The important thing is that you realize that bending is a tool at your disposal to make your playing sound more bluesy. Now, to help you realize that, I've got a couple licks here for you that incorporate some bends. This first lick is really heavily emphasizing the root note of the one chord if you're in E blues. So we're really heavily emphasizing the E note. So take your third finger on the third fret of the B string, and we're going to bend that note up, that D note, a whole step to where it's an E. And then we're going to play an open E. And then we're going to come back here and play the second fret of the D string. So we're hitting really 3 E notes, bending up to 1, then hitting the open E, then the second fret of the D string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And one tip I want to give you for that lick is when you're bending a whole step especially, or a whole step or greater, you want to use as many fingers to come help out with the bend as possible. That way it makes it easier on the finger that you're bending with. All right, this next little bending lick starts on the 4 and bends up to the flat 5. It's basically a half step bend. We're going to bend that note up and let it back down. And then I'll play the open G string. Come down to the second fret of the A string, second finger, and then open D string, second fret of the D string to end up on your root note. So this is kind of emphasizing the one chord too. The tip I want to give you for this bending lick is just to double check your bend. So if you're bending up a half step here, double check that half step bend against the actual fretted note that's 1 fret higher. It's always good to double check your bends. The next element that I want to talk to you about is vibrato. Vibrato is a very self-expressive tool that you can use to really kind of give your solos their own unique sound. At its most basic level, vibrato is just bending a note up and letting it back down over and over again. So And there are two different elements that you can use to kind of customize your vibrato to convey whatever emotion or feeling you're trying to get out through your blues solos. The first one is the speed of your vibrato. It can be slow or it can be fast. It just depends on what you want to convey at that particular time. So work on slow and fast vibrato. That way, when you need either of them, they'll be right there for you to grab. The second element of vibrato that I want to talk to you about is the width of your vibrato. You can have really shallow vibrato, to where it's barely noticeable, or you can have really wide vibrato, to where it's really noticeable. Experiment with both of them, see what you can come up with, and try to develop your own unique voice with your vibrato. Again, I like to think about singers. They have a really distinct way of using vibrato that we guitar players can kind of pull from. Sliding is another stylistic little element that can really add some unique flavor to your playing. And by sliding, all I mean is starting on one note and sliding up to another note, or starting on one note and sliding down to another note. And depending on which note you choose to start on and which note you choose to slide up to, it can have some pretty drastic effects. It can give some really bluesy or jazzy sounds to your playing. So to help you understand this, I'm going to show you two blues licks that achieve a very specific sound. One is sliding up to the flat 5, and the other one is sliding up from the flatted third to the regular third. I'll show you what I mean. This first lick starts on the 4th of the blues scale and slides up to the flat 5. And sliding up to the flat 5 or down to it, either way, can be really bluesy sounding, so remember that. Let me show you the lick now. On the tab, you're going to see a 3 with a slash on it, and that just means you're going to slide up to the 3rd fret, and I'm going to do that from the 2nd fret. Then you're going to go to the open G string, and then to the 2nd fret of the G string. So far you have. From there you're going to hit the open D, 2nd fret of the D, open G. You have a rest there, and then back to the root note of the 1 chord, the E right there on the 2nd fret of the D string. So practice that lick, and then just practice sliding up and down to the flat 5 note. And it's going to sound really bluesy for you. This next sliding lick is going to show you how you can slide up from the flat 3rd of the blues scale up to the regular major 3rd of what would be like in a major scale. So start off on the 3rd fret of the high E string. That's the 3rd, the lower 3rd of the blues scale. Play that note, and on the tab you're going to see that there's a slash with a 4 in it. That means you're going to slide up to the 4th fret from the fret below it. So that's your first note. Sliding up from the flat 3rd to the regular 3rd. And this can give you a really jazzy sound just in general. After that slide, play the open high E string, and then the 3rd fret of the E string. Again, back to the open E string, down to the open B string, 3rd fret of the B string, open E string. And then you're going to go to the root note of the scale, the 2nd fret of the D string right there, that E note. 1, 2, 3, 4. So play around with those two sliding ideas. Slide up or down to the flat 5, and then slide up from the flat 3rd to the major 3rd and see what you can come up with. Those are just a few little stylistic tools that you can really start to use to learn how to express yourself better on the guitar. Take each one, think about them, experiment with them, pull up the jam tracks and see what you can come up with. Here's a little pass with one of the jam tracks that incorporates all these things. Spend part of your daily practice with these little self-expressive tools and see what kind of unique things you can start to come up with. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about a type of lick called a turnaround lick, so get ready for that. If you have any questions, you can leave them here in the comments, and I'll get back to you there, or you can email me, Nate@guitarsystem.com. See ya.